Willie Avery ordered some marijuana from our dealer for $10. When the marijuana dealer never returned, Avery decided to call 911 for help. The rest of the story is self-explanatory. Goldilocks burglar caught napping. A retired couple from Lancashire returned home from a holiday in 2014 to discover a burglar fast asleep in their bed. Martin Holtby and Pat Dyson were amazed to find their intruder Lukas Chodnowski had done their dishes, washed his underwear and even bought some groceries. Miss Dyson said their house wasn't too tidy when they went away, but Chodnowski, who is originally from Poland but moved to Leeds, had kindly tidied up. He did burn an old saucepan, but that happens, she added. Chodnowski, then 28, admitted burglary and was given a 2-year conditional discharge and ordered to pay £200 costs. Anna McAdave was looking for a drug dealer, so she posted an advertisement in Craigslist saying that she wanted some marijuana. The police saw her ad and arranged to meet with her through an undercover agent. Dave showed up and was immediately arrested, foiled by the auto lock. A suspected car thief in Pretoria, South Africa was foiled when their auto lock system of the car he allegedly broke into trapped him inside. According to the Star newspaper, the man was stuck for an hour and a half shouting for help while amused passers-by pointed and laughed. The newspaper reports that when the owner of the car returned, she yelled, "What are you doing in my car?" before unlocking it, at which point officers from Pretoria Central Police Station promptly arrested him. A 37-year-old man drove a stolen Lexus SUV to court on the day that he was about to be convicted for an unrelated auto theft charge. Make that 2 charges. Fake cop pulls over real cop. A police impersonator tried to pull over an off-duty officer early Thursday morning, police said. An off-duty police officer says he was driving in Dumfries when a man driving a Crown Victoria started to follow him. The officer says the driver turned on a spotlight that was attached to his car. Thinking it was a police officer, the off-duty officer pulled over, according to police. The driver of the Crown Victoria pulled alongside the off-duty officer and tried to make contact, police said. When the off-duty officer said he was a police officer, the other driver immediately sped away. The off-duty officer followed the car and then the driver and passenger fled on foot. Police have identified the man as Sean Michael Robinson, 27, of Alexandria, Virginia. He turned himself into police after a warrant was issued for his arrest. Robinson is being held without bond. He is due in court on March 4th. Woman arrested after asking police to test her drugs for Ebola. Poor Chastity Eugenia Hobson was so worried about her possibly tainted meth that she actually contacted the police about it. Officers at the Granite Shoals Police Department in Texas were trying to catch the country's dumbest drug users when they posted a fake Facebook story about Ebola tainted meth. The post said, "If you have recently purchased meth or heroin in Central Texas, please take it to the local police or sheriff department so it can be screened with a special device. Do not use it until it has been properly checked for possible Ebola contamination." Hobson, 29, saw the post and was understandably afraid that her meth could be, wait for it, dangerous. She responded to the department's post on Facebook and they gladly took her sample in for testing. Hobson was charged with possession of less than 1 gram of a controlled substance. Left hanging, a burglar in China had to be rescued after his attempt to squeeze through a small 5th-floor window of an apartment block left him dangling. It took rescuers 30 minutes to free him. He was eventually handed over to police. I look like James Brown on the run. Here is a better photo. That one is terrible. A man suspected of arson and vandalism sent a selfie to police in Ohio in the US because he found the photo on his arrest warrant to be unflattering. Donald Chip, who texted police a photo of himself and wrote, "Here is a better photo. That one is terrible." He told a local radio station, "Man, they just did me wrong. They put a picture out that made me look like I was a Thundercat or James Brown on the run. I can't do that." Lima Police Department responded by saying, "We thank him for being helpful, but now we would appreciate it if he would come to speak to us." He was later arrested in Florida. The terrorist who claimed his own reward. Officials were left baffled by an Afghan Taliban commander who gave himself up and then tried to claim the $100 reward for his capture. Mohammed Azhan, a mid to low level Taliban commander, was suspected of organizing attacks on US and Afghan troops in the east of the country. According to reports, he walked up to a police checkpoint in 2012, pointed to a wanted poster featuring his face and asked for the $100 finder's fee. The authorities were at a loss to explain his actions, although one US official reportedly told journalists, "Clearly this man is an imbecile." Texas man tries to cash $360 billion check. Charles Rayfuller must have been planning one big record company. The 21-year-old North Texas man was arrested last week for trying to cash a $360 billion check, saying he wanted to start a record business, authorities said. Tellers at the Fort Worth bank were immediately suspicious. Perhaps the 10 zeros on a personal check tipped them off, according to investigators, who nabbed an iPad theft when selfies appear on owner's iCloud. 2 men arrested in Houston are accused of stealing an iPad and using it to take selfies that they unknowingly uploaded to the owner's iCloud account. The iPad owner discovered photos on his iCloud account of the 2 men biting $100 bills in their mouths. Investigators arrested the pair on theft charges late Wednesday. Don't move. I have a cucumber. A man who tried to rob a Glasgow bookmakers while armed with a cucumber came unstuck when he was tackled to the ground by an off-duty police officer. Gary Ruff brandished the vegetable, covered in a black sock, at a female worker at Ladbrokes in Shettleston and demanded cash, which she refused. Ruff was then pinned down by the officer and arrested. He initially told police it was all a joke before inquiring, "Am I getting the jail for this?" He was indeed jailed at the High Court in Glasgow in 2014 after admitting assault with intent to rob. Alleged burglar answers phone. Gives name. Deputies with the Lee County Sheriff's Office arrested a man who they say committed a crime that was incredibly incompetent. When you're a burglar, deputies say there are some things you just shouldn't do. When you break into a building and their alarm goes off, don't answer the phone. If you do answer the phone, don't give out your name. Last but not least, don't come back to the place you burglarized the night before. The alarm company called on the phone and he answered the phone, said George Thomasy, manager of the Junkanoo Bar on Fort Myers Beach. He actually gave them his own name, which is astonishing, and then he came back in the morning. Catch me if you can. A criminal on the run took the ill-advised approach of taunting Gwent police when they posted a Facebook appeal to trace him last February. Logan James, then 19 and from Caerphilly, was wanted for breaching his prison release terms after serving a sentence for wounding a fray, common assault and being in possession of a knife. Haha, catch me if you can. Won't see me slipping. James taunted, later telling a news agency, "I have been walking around near home, so they're not trying too hard to catch me." He was caught later that day. Police thanked him for drawing attention to our efforts to return him to prison. Before breaking into an apartment, Joey Miller and Matthew McNally decided to put on disguises. And by disguises we mean they covered their faces in permanent marker. The thing about permanent marker is that, well, it's permanent. After the burglary, the pair was pulled over by police and immediately recognized because of their hair. Just kidding. It was their faces covered in permanent marker that set them apart from the crowd. 18-year-old Ruben Zarrett wanted to rob a muffler shop in Chicago and demanded money. Unfortunately, it was mostly in the safe. Zarrett decided that he would try again later. To save himself some time, he left his cell phone number with the store employees. That way they could call him when the manager returned. Demetrius Robinson, 28, wanted to rob a Golden Pantry store late one night, but he needed to pass the time as naturally as possible until he and the clerk were alone. So he decided to fill out a job application. Not a bad idea, except he left his real name on the application along with his uncle's phone number. After he robbed the store, it didn't take long for police to track him down. He didn't get the job. The telltale trousers. When an attempted robbery at a Lowe's home improvement store went awry, Milton J. Hodges fled across the street and jumped a fence right into the Cypress Cove nudist resort and spam. As the Orlando Sentinel pointed out, as one of the only folks wearing clothing, Hodges was easily spotted by police. Robber falls from ceiling into police custody. A burglar looking to make a quick score at a Family Dollar had quite the full Sunday morning. The burglar had climbed on the roof at the store and managed to weasel his way into the ceiling, where he promptly fell in front of a nearby Houston police officer. Houston police received a call of a potential burglary at the store and a nearby unit pulled up just in time as the suspect fell through the ceiling. The officer immediately ordered the suspect to stay on the floor where he was taken into custody. Police said the man who was working on his own managed to climb a tree next to the building and busted a hole in the roof to gain entry. Police believe the suspect was attempting to break in to steal cigarettes. The bank robber who gave his address. An aspiring bank robber who wore a terrible disguise of sunglasses and socks over his shoes gave the cashier his full name and address. Half an hour before he attempted to hold the branch up. Dean Smith, then 27, went into his local branch of Barclays in the Welsh village of Treachi to change his address and spotted the cash in the tills. He returned in his disguise and demanded the money but fled empty-handed when the cashier refused. Police had little difficulty tracking him down. He admitted he had been very stupid and was jailed for 2.5 years for attempted robbery and carrying a bladed weapon in 2014. Armed robber Andrew Hennels was caught after he boasted on Facebook about his plans to raid a supermarket in a post which included a selfie, a picture of a knife and the words "doing Tesco over." Police caught him 15 minutes later with a knife and £410 in cash stolen from a Tesco in Kings Lynn, Norfolk. He was jailed for 4 years last April. Timothy Clark thought that the Shop with a Cop charity event was the perfect time for him to steal some items from Walmart. Apparently he didn't realize that the store was filled with cops who were also closely monitoring the surveillance cameras. Clark was caught on the spot. Smartphone. Stupid robber. Not the first to be caught out by a selfie and probably not the last. Ashley Keast used a stolen SIM card to snap a self-portrait inside a house he was burgling. The Rotherham man then posted the picture on the WhatsApp Messenger application, but also unknowingly sent the picture to the victim's work colleagues. Officers found him at his home with a stolen Rolex watch worth £4,000 hidden behind a radiator. Keast, then 25, was jailed for 2 years and 8 months in 2014 after he admitted burglary. Roy and Jessica Fritz had to get to Nevada and the best way to do that according to them was to hitchhike, kill the driver and steal a car. The only problem was that the car was stick shift and they didn't know how to drive stick shift.